such kind of degree office you can got kind of after you attend such kind of program, you can got a degree of Master of Arts. And there are also Master of Science. The major may be related to biology, engineering, chemistry, health, statistics. So sometimes some majors such as like economic or social science, they can fall under both MA or MS. It's really based on the university's decision and the program that kind of decision. There are also kind of Master of Research or Master by Research. So such kind of master program is kind of a preparation for your doctor degree. So if you want to apply for a PhD degree in the future, you may consider it like Master by Research or Master of Research. And Master of Philosophy is also kind of a preparation things for like higher degree, kind of the doctor degree. There are also some specialized professional master degree, so such as Master of Business Administration. So that degree is for business students who want to gain skills and knowledges need to progress in their career in both business and management roles. So in MBA degree, there is also opportunities for you to choosing a specialization in this degree. For example, you can choose accounting or you can choose finance. There are also a degree called Master of Public Administration. So that is a degree focusing on public policy and has many similarities with MBA degree. So usually students who wish to specialize in topics such as environment, international administration, science, and technology, and they aim to work for the government or non-government organizations, they may choose kind of MPA. There are also different types of master degrees, such kind of like Master of Social Work, that is a degree prepared for people who wish to work in the social work field. There are also like Master of Public Health, Master of Music, Master of like Fine Arts, Laws, Engineering, Education. So those are kind of specialized and a professional master degree. It's like when you first decide a field that you want to work in, you may choose those kind of like specialized master degree. Okay, so now let's see the difference between graduate school and undergraduate school. So compared to undergraduate, graduate school is more concentrated courses of study. So you are learning more depths in one particular field, and they may fewer elective courses. And you will also have greater expectation regarding the quality of quantity of work because you are learning more depths, you are going more deep in a particular field. And your work and your evaluation are provided by most of your professor and by your peers. You will also have smaller classes with more students interact. You have more chances to have the group assignment. You have more chances to have discussion with your peers. And a lot of master program, they may more research drive. Some program may even require original research in area of studies, such as like the Master of Research or Master by Research or Master of Philosophy. So now is our question and concerns time. Does anyone have any questions or concerns so far about the introduction of graduate school?
I do see there's a question in the chat around having access to this recording. So we did start recording so we can provide it for you after if you're interested. And then if you do have any questions so far, you can use like the raise your hand feature on Zoom and we'll get to you, or you can continue to put them in the chat. I don't see any other than that one at this point. Oh, I do see a new question, Shane, in the chat if you want to look at it. It says, Do you necessarily have to pursue the same topic or field of study you did in undergrad for graduate school?
So I would say that you do not need to you do not need to really must go to the same field between graduate school and undergraduate learning experience. That is based on your interest. And also sometimes people will see attending a graduate program as a great opportunity to transfer into another field. So it's based on your experience, even though you are in some other field and of your undergraduate school, and you want to enter a different field in graduate school, you can, in your undergraduate learning experience, you can intentionally to select some courses that is relevant to the field that you are interested in and the field that you are willingness to apply for graduate school. You can use elective courses in your school, in your undergraduate school. You can build up your background, and you can intentionally find some internship so that you can apply for a graduate school program in a different field.
Great. And then there's another question in the chat that says, what kind of master's degree should I pursue for migration studies? Is it MA or MBA?
So I feel that is based on your interest. Would you like to attend the kind of educational program? Because a lot of MA program is most like you are taking courses. It's not like you are not doing research. But if you want to kind of doing research, or you want to pursue a kind of hiring degree, you may consider kind of master by research or master of philosophy. And it's all about what kind of jobs you want to do. If you want to learn about migrations and you want to do research in the future, you want to become a professor in a university, you may need to consider the more research part. But if you want to you do not want to pursue a higher degree, you just want to work in that field, it may you are considered the specialized program or degree. Do you have any additional opinions, Kristen?
Yeah, I was going to say jump in there as well. I was going to say, if you want to be a lawyer, so when you say migration, you meant immigration, correct, Sophia? Sophia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah. So as far as if you're going to pursue a master's, I mean, so you're when you go to law school, that's called a JD, a Juris Doctorate. It's I don't know if it's 2 years or it's 3 years program, but it's very intense. And so, but MBA, that's different. That's if you want to go for business. And typically they recommend if you go back for your MBA that you wait 2 years, that you have at least 2 years of work experience before you go back for your MBA. But ultimately it's called a JD, Juris Doctorate is what where law school is what that is. But you know,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So do you suggest that I do law school before I do my grad school for this?
No. Okay, so you want to do immigration studies is what you're saying. So that would be a master's. So they don't that sounds like more like a social sciencey thing. That's probably like an MA versus an MBA is a business degree. And so if you wanted to work in a business, then you would do that. But if you want to be a lawyer and you want to do immigration studies, then that's a master's. Definitely not an MBA. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for this part?
I see another question in the chat. It says, is it good to take a break before grad school? I want to pursue a master's in English, and I was thinking of jumping to grad school after I finish my undergraduate degree.
Do you guys want to answer that, or do you want me to answer? It's up to you.
We will be going over this generally in the PowerPoint itself, but Dr. Kupra, if you want to answer it now, I think that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, I mean, the only program that they really recommend that you wait 2 years before and work before you go back is the MBA. All other master's degrees you can go right after. You can go right after undergrad, but just the MBA they suggest. And again, if you want to go right for your MBA right afterwards, you can. But I don't know if it will get you the results that you need, because often they want the MBA in combination with work experience when they're looking for new hires from MBA programs. So anything other than MBA, you know, you can go straight afterwards. And listen, it's all a matter of whether or not you want to break. I know me, I like having a break between degrees. All right, yeah, and are these questions that you're going to be answering later on? I don't want to blow your fire.
Yes, thank you. I think that was a great answer. I think we will have more Q&As, so let's go ahead and move forward with the presentation, and maybe some of these questions will be answered, but we will address them in the next one if needed.
Okay, so let us see how to choose a graduate school. So there are some general considerations. So once you have decided that the grad school is ideal and you have decided a program, the next step would be deciding where to go. So here are a few things to keep in mind when deciding whether to pursue a graduate degree. So you may see their publications, where they publish their papers, or where did they publish their articles, and the frequency of publications. You may also want to see the experience outside academic community, and you may consider it, are they well-known and respected by peers in the subject they are currently teaching. So are professors accessible to students, which means do you have enough office hour, do you have enough interaction with your professor? You may also consider any kind of mentoring opportunities, especially if you are wanting to do a PhD program in the future and you use the master degree of PhD preparation. You may consider it mentoring opportunities, because a lot of program, if they can provide you kind of independent study course experience, they will give you a mentor and you can do an independent study research in that courses. If you can get great mentorship, you will have an excellent research experience that can be used to apply for PhD degree. And also go back to Elizabeth, the questions about can you able to go straight to PhD after undergraduates. I feel that it is possible. There do have some students, they apply for PhD degree right after undergraduates, but that is very highly competitive, which means that you need to prepare a lot. During your undergraduate school, you will need to have several research experience in your undergraduate school so that you will be a competitive candidate. So some students will choose to first go to a master degree and then go to a PhD degree, because master degree can help them exam if they are really interested in that field, or if they are okay with the researching life. But there are also some students, they directly go to a PhD degree because they are very clearly about their interest and the field they want to work in, and they have plenty of research experience during undergraduates, so they will directly apply for PhD degree. And there are some students, they apply for master degree and they apply for PhD degree at the same time, because you can apply for plenty of program as long as you want. Okay, so we may also need to think about the courses when you evaluate a master program. So you can go to the admission website to see the curriculum. Always they will have a list of curriculum, and you can also see the electives. And when you see electives, you may also consider it if that the elective courses are connected with your professional goals. So can they provide the learning experience that is useful to your future career? So you may also check the requirements of the graduation. So some program, they require that you pass a completion exam. Some program, they require that you complete an article or a paper, like graduation paper or graduation program. So there may be also internship or fieldwork learning requirements in a program. Some programs, they may offer your database so that you can apply for possible internship opportunities or field work opportunities or research opportunities. You may also think about the length and the credits of the program. Some programs, they may offer dual degree with additional credits and courses. The reputation of a university and a school are also important part when we evaluate a program. You may need to see both the school's reputation and you also want to see the program's reputation. You may see the accreditations of the program. In some field, program that is accredited by certain organization or association may got more benefits, or they have more resources or chances in particular field. So you may also be sure to check about the outcome of the program. You can check about the graduation rate. You can check about the employment data or average salary of graduation students. You can find such kind of resources on the website of a particular program. You may also discuss with the advisor of that program. And another way that you can obtain this information would be you can talk with graduate students that is currently enrolled in that program or they have been graduate from that program. So there are also some other additional informations we need to consider, which is maybe class size. We have discussed that if they have like smaller class size, some like master program, they can provide you like 8 students courses or something like that. You have more chance to interact with your professor, and you also have more chance to discuss with your peers. And if you have more chance to talk and discuss and interact with your professor, it may also increase the possibilities that you can get a reference letter from your professor. Another thing I want to consider is about the location, the geographic area. Do you prefer to live in an urban area or do you prefer to live in a rural area? And most of the time, the graduate school, they will not provide the dormitory to graduate students. So you may also need to consider the housing. You may need to rent apartment. Another thing you need to consider would be the program cost and the financial assistance you can get. We will get into the possible financial assistance later.
Okay, so now let's go ahead and dive into the application process. So keep in mind that this can vary a lot depending on the program and the universities that you're looking at. So it's always best to directly consult the university when you decide to apply. But despite the variation across programs, there are generally some elements of the application that pretty much every school is going to require. These include your undergraduate GPA and your academic profile, which will be found on your transcript, standardized, I'm sorry if you hear honking in the background, standardized test scores, letters of recommendation, and then completing like the actual application itself. They're usually also going to ask for a personal statement of some sort and like your research or relevant professional experience, which would be on your resume or your CV. All of this is going to help the admissions team determine if you will succeed or if you're a good fit for the particular program that you're applying to. It's also good to keep in mind that there might be some like special application elements that you'll need to complete based on the programs that you're looking at. So some examples of additional requirements you may find include like a portfolio for art-focused programs, professional work experience or industry-related experience for business-focused programs, as we were discussing, and then sometimes even like video essays for specialized programs, and that can be found in some like public affairs applications. And then keep in mind that this list is in no way comprehensive, so it is important to do your own research and look up the requirements on the school's websites when you're planning to apply. Okay, so now we'll talk a little more specifically about each of the major application requirements that you can expect. So when it comes to GPA, you'll want to aim for at least a 3.0 in undergrad if you hope to attend like some of the more competitive master's programs. And then I would even aim for a 3.5 or higher for some of the most prestigious ones. And then remember, though, that although a strong GPA is important, that alone is not going to guarantee acceptance into grad school, and it is only one component of the process. In addition to a competitive GPA, it is good to look for other opportunities that will showcase, your personality, your strengths, and your academic profile while you're in undergraduate. So some examples could be studying abroad, independent study, getting involved on campus through, clubs and other activities, employment, community service or civic engagement, and then sports programs as well. Although more and more schools are starting to drop this standardized testing as a requirement, they're still highly recommending it to include. So it is still good to prepare for these. So test attempts, keep in mind your goal should be to only complete them once. However, they can be repeated if the results are poor. Check the specific programs that you're interested in once again to see like which kind of standardized testing that they'll be asking for so that you can apply accordingly. And here are the main ones on the screen for your reference. It's important to check the testing deadlines directly on their website so that you can see when they're going to be held and so that you can get your scores before your applications are due. One second, I think it might have skipped ahead. Okay, so when it comes to letters of recommendation, we would suggest preparing at least 3. So avoid asking graduate students, friends, relatives, or individuals who don't have a lot of direct experience with your professional brand. So we talked about this a little bit earlier as well, but this is why networking and interacting with your professors and employers while you're in undergrad or before you're applying to graduate school is so important, as they are going to be the best recommendations that you can get for grad school. Of course, it is important that your recommenders like you, that they know you and are at least familiar with you and your work, and that they respect you. It's important that you're very confident that they're going to give you a positive recommendation. And if there's any sort of question as to whether or not it would be fully positive, I would recommend looking for a different recommendation. When choosing recommenders, think about these questions. So do they have relevant academic or professional credentials? This will be really important and, kind of a requirement for your recommendation letters. Are they known in the discipline that you seek? This is important and can add, to the strength of the recommendation, but it's not necessarily required. And then do they know people in the program or the university that that you are applying to? So this would definitely be a plus, but once again, not a requirement. In case you're wondering, how do I ask someone to be a recommender for me for grad school? Here we've included a sample email that you could send to the professor or of the professional that you're requesting it from. So I'll read this aloud just so you can kind of get an example. So dear Dr. Smith, whatever their name is, I hope you are doing well. I wanted to reach out because I'm considering applying to a PhD or a master's program, whatever school it is this coming cycle. As I'm beginning to get my application materials together, I wanted to see if you would be willing and able to write me a strong letter of recommendation. And then an optional addition is you can kind of talk about, something they might remember you by. So I was hoping you'd be able to draw from, my time in your class or my lab, my internship experience, whatever it is. If you're willing to be a letter writer for me, please let me know what materials I can send you and when you would like them by. Sincerely, and then your name.
Okay, so one important materials you need to prepare is personal statement, or some school require statement of purpose. So the point of personal statement is for the admissions to gain a deeper understanding of who you are, apart from education and work experience. It will explain why you are the right fit for the program and the worthwhile applicants. So you may say something like why you choose the school, why the school is appeal to you. You may also want to state why you choose the particular program or field. You can use your past relevant experience to create a continuous and logical narrations or stories to state your interest and willingness to the particular field or particular program. You may also need to state your short and long-term goals. Also, do not forget to mention what are the things you can contribute to the school and what are those unique experiences help you with your contributes to the university or the school or the program. So a personal statement is different from a statement of purpose. So a statement of purpose will touch on your academic and career goals, as well as your past credentials. Will those should also be discussed in your personal statement? It's more about your life experience and how they have shaped you and your journey to graduate school. Okay, so let's see some writing do's and don'ts. So first, we need to make sure that we write it clearly and concisely. And we should keep it about 2 to 3 pages long. You can find the length requirements on the website of the administration website, which includes the front page, the font, the pages, and the margin requirements. Another thing that you need to give concrete examples. A personal statement is all about communicating with the people who read your personal statement, and you want to distinguish you from other applicants. So to accomplish that, you need to share specific stories. If you say that you are a strong leader, you need to present an example of a time that you have proven that skills through work or school or your personal life. So those specific and personal stories will provide a deeper understanding of who you are and prove your intentions. So you will always remember to proofread and revise. We can't emphasize enough the importance of rereading your work. So your personal statement is also an analysis of your writing skills. So you will ensure that you have proper grammar and spelling throughout. In addition, we recommend that you having multiple people looking over your statement before submission, because they can help with the proofreading. Like a second person can always catch a mistake that the writer may miss. And you can also get advice about the statement structure and the content. So here are some things that you do not want to do in the personal statement. Even though you need to write concrete examples, you will make sure that you not make it as an autobiography, and you are not writing a collection of generic statements. You will keep your goals and your purpose in mind, that you want to show why you are the right fit for the program and the worthwhile applicants. And you should always be honest. You can explain any factors that may have impact your academic career. You can have an illness or any other personal hardships that affect your grades or work. You can discuss them. Some schools, they may even let you upload additional statement to explain, but you will always remember that you never make things up or you never make an excuse. So for international students, there are some things that you need to consider during the application and after you get an offer. So you may see the language test requirements. In some situations, such as you have your undergraduate degree in the US, the test can be waived. You want to make sure that you always check the website to see if there is any materials you need to waive the language test, which means that even though you know that you have the undergraduate degree here in the US, you still want to check the website to see if there is any materials you needed to submit to waive that test. Another thing international students may consider is about the WES credentials. So if you take any program outside the US, you may need to use the WES to prove that your outcome and your achievements. Also, after you got the offer, you need to consider your I-20 and student visa. You want to make sure that you prepare the financial statement so that you can apply for the I-20 and the visa.
Okay, so now we'll give some general expectations around when to prepare for grad school applications, as well as how to finance it. So if you plan to apply for fall enrollment and you want to start right after your undergraduate experience, You'll want to get started the summer before your junior year. Application deadlines generally fall between November and April the following year. So here at STAR, we do offer graduate school advising appointments. So we recommend, setting up an appointment and working with a counselor on this process. To give you a clear idea of what to expect in terms of planning to apply for graduate school, here are some of the main questions you should be asking yourself starting up to a year before you start applying. So 1 year before you apply, first ask yourself, do I need a research experience outside of a typical classroom setting? If so, think about what skills you could be adding to your personal statement and your CV. In addition, if you do need research experience, do I know how to join a research lab? If not, this is where you begin to look for answers to these questions. In addition, you want to ask, do I have GRE level vocabulary? If you don't, that might be time to start studying for those, types of vocabulary words for the test. Start thinking about if you want to get a PhD or a master's degree. As we mentioned, you can get both starting out. So kind of deciding like which one you're looking for. And then what programs am I interested in applying to? Around 6 months before you apply, you want to ask yourself these questions. So have you scheduled your GRE test? If not, now's the time to really look at when those dates are coming and make sure that you're planning accordingly. Do you have a plan to prepare for your GRE test? So same thing, you just want to make sure you're keeping those in mind and preparing for those. And then once again, what programs am I interested in applying to? Here you're hopefully getting more and more specific around like your options. And then 2 months before applications, who is going to write my letters of recommendation? This is when you should really start reaching out to request these and making sure that you have people in line for those. Is my resume or my CV updated? If not, it might be a good time to do that and make sure that it's ready for your applications. You'll also want to check your online presence. So try Googling yourself and making sure that everything that you have online is going to be appropriate and professional, as it's more and more likely now that people will be looking you up online during the application process. And then the last is, have you written your personal statements? And who's going to review those personal statements? So once again, this is when you'll want to get started on that process and make sure you have like an editor in place. So in terms of financing, you do have to be a little bit more creative with graduate school funding, as there's not much federal funding opportunities for grad school, at least not as many as there are in undergrad. So typically you can take out a yearly unsubsidized federal loan for up to $20,500 a year. And there are no subsidized loans available for grad school. However, you'll still want to complete your FAFSA form if you're planning or you want to be able to take out that unsubsidized loan. When it comes to other opportunities, we do recommend looking for university-based aid, scholarships through a field that you're interested in pursuing, and also graduate assistantships. So these are typically like a part-time job with a professor at the university, or a faculty member at the university in exchange for them covering some of your tuition. International students can check out the website that's here listed, the International Association for College Admission Counseling, and there you can explore some more relevant financial assistance options for you as well. In general, you always want to be careful when you're looking for financing and make sure that you're double checking your sources and only applying to reputable organizations to prevent identity theft. Okay, so now we want to give you a chance to discuss your thoughts on attending graduate school with your peers and colleagues here that are in attendance. So we're going to put you all into breakout rooms, and we want you to answer each of the following questions. I will put these in the chat once you're in the breakout rooms so you can refer back to them. And we want you to try to answer these questions as honestly as possible. You'll have around 10 minutes to discuss, and then we're going to invite you back into the main room. So earning an MPA can give you advanced knowledge in finance and business that's needed to work in high-level public administration positions. So most MPA programs will focus on business administration and financial management, but they might also offer courses on subjects like ethics and urban planning. One of the most important skills that an MPA degree can teach you is how to work with grants, and that can provide funding for projects in economic or community development, infrastructure and educational programs for nonprofits and governments. You may need to choose a specialization when you consider a program for an MPA or an MPP, which is a Master's in Public Policy. Here's some data here on where individuals with Masters in Public Affairs or Masters in Public Policy are currently working to give you an idea of some career paths that might be relevant for you. So as you can see, like the highest percentage is 23% are working for a domestic nonprofit. Next would be 17% for a local government. As you can see, there's a lot of different industries where you can get into. It's pretty well distributed across different fields. And then there are a variety of settings that you can utilize your master's degree, including private sectors, nonprofits, and government agencies. So here we have some examples of different roles you could be working in with a master's in public affairs. So as you can see, there could be government relations managers, like policy research assistant, city manager, things like that. So now we've given a quick overview there. We would like to welcome our special guest, Young Ha. She's the Director of Graduate Admissions and Enrollment Services in the Mark School here at Baruch. And she's going to now be available to answer some of your questions around obtaining a Master's in Public Affairs. So Young, I'll allow you to introduce yourself and then you can manage the questions from here. And thank you again for joining us today.
It's really nice to be here. Thank you. My name is Young Ha. I oversee the Graduate Admissions Office at the Mark School. We offer public affairs, major international affairs, and higher education administration. So yes, if you have any questions in any of those programs, if you're interested, please do ask away.
And we did save one of question in the chat we got for you that might be, you have a better answer. So one student did ask, is your recommendation waived if you are a Baruch undergraduate and applying for an MS degree? So I think the question is like, you still need to submit letters of recommendation if you're a Baruch undergraduate.
Yes, you do need to submit recommendation letters. We currently require 2 for marks. I believe that's sort of the standard for most graduate programs. But one of the beneficial things about applying as an undergraduate at Baruch is that you don't need to submit your official transcript, as we will be able to pull that for you. And also some other CUNY schools will have access to that if you're applying for other CUNY schools. For us too, if a student from another CUNY school applies to us, we do have access to pull that transcript as well. So I know there was a previous question about advantages of applying or staying within the CUNY network. I do think that there's a huge advantage of doing that just because of the networking opportunities and possibly the ease of application as well. There's some steps that you can avoid. And yes, CUNY is a big system, and as I'm sure students have experienced that advantage as an undergraduate students, but as a graduate student, you can pull resources from other campuses, go take courses at other campus if your campus does not offer the course that you're looking for. So it's a wealth of resource to pull from as a graduate student.
Yeah, thank you for that insight. That's really helpful for that, answering both of those questions. So if you do have any questions, in addition, you can go ahead and use the raising your hand feature, or you can put it in the chat.
I don't see any raised hands.
Yeah, so I'm not seeing any other questions.
Okay.
Oh, I see one actually popping up here. So do we all offer one-on-one appointments to review applications? Okay, so that seems like a more STAR specific question. If you do sign up for a graduate advising, session at STAR, you can definitely work with a counselor to help you navigate the entire process, like work on the different application elements. And then I guess in the meantime, since we're not having a lot of questions, Young, we'd love to hear, like, with your expertise, do you have like any advice for these students that are considering graduate school, the application process? We'd love to hear from you on that as well.
Yes, I know I didn't join the session earlier, so some of these things may have been covered already. And sorry if it's a repeat. I would definitely say whatever major or program that you're interested, do your research, check out all the possible programs out there that may apply to your interest, compare and see what program offers what, the difference is. Also check in with the admissions offices of all of these schools. We do offer individual appointments and assistance to apply as well, and give information and feedback and and yes, we're very sort of open doors for marks. So we would sit down with you and see if your interests align with what we're offering. And also we will help you strengthen your application in terms of statement and so on. So check in with the admissions office at those respective schools and make sure you take advantage of the information that they can give you and sort of the tailored assistance that they are able to help you with. I would say the more you know about the school, the helpful or the stronger your statement will be, and to sort of assess how the program fits with your needs and your interests. So going back to stressing that about research and recommendation letters, make sure you ask to get them from a faculty member or previous employer who knows you well, not just someone that has known you in a limited basis. I would say to absolutely ask for those from someone who can talk about what you've achieved in detail, and that would be helpful. Statement, focus on what the statement questions are for each school, because they can be different, and the admissions offices have frowned upon a little bit of what could be sort of the stock standard statements. So I would say work with don't write one statement and send it to multiple schools with a different school name. Just make sure that you answer those specific questions if the admissions requires a specific answer to the question. Yeah, and I think at this point graduate admissions offices usually tend to try to help students apply, so take advantage of those events, recruitment functions. Yeah, and I think that is sort of the key to coming up with a successful application.
Great, thank you so much. That reinforced a lot of what we went over today, but also added some new elements. So I hope that all the students here really learned from that, especially taking advantage of those advising opportunities, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level. You can get assistance in your application process. And let's see, well, this will be our last question we have in the chat. So what about this process would differ if we were to apply to a graduate school program abroad or a dual degree international program? So that's a really good question. I think that would kind of be specific to the school. So it would be important to reach out to the school's admission to kind of ask how that process is different, as we were focused more on graduate programs in the United States for this presentation. Alrighty, so thank you again, Young, for your time. We really appreciate you joining us and giving some of your direction there. And now we'll go ahead and move on to closing out the workshop for today.
Okay, so there are some resources that you may go for. So for careers, the STAR Career Center, we provide the graduate school advising session. So you can make a graduate school advancement session in the STAR search with, like, there are a lot of counselors are available. You can check your availabilities. And you may also go to the Produce Online Writing Lab for writing help with your personal statement or CV or anything that you need a writing check. For the Peterson Guide to Graduate School, you can see the application process, exams, financial aids, and other stuffs. And we also have two resources. One is about the graduate school application process guideline, and another is about the how you collect the data and collect the information from different programs. So how those resources are useful. Okay, so thank you again for attending today's presentation and attend the workshop. And we will also send you those resources in the chat so that you can have access.
Yes, and those are in the chat now. Thank you all for your time. We'll remain here for a couple more minutes if you have additional questions. Beyond that, the workshop is officially over.